Okay. Good evening, everyone. Adequate notice of this meeting as required by the Open Public Meetings Act was provided through the posting, mailing, and filing of the annual notice of regularly scheduled meetings of the Town Council on December 17, 2024. The notice was, on that date, posted on the bulletin board in the municipal building, provided to the Westfield Leader and the Star Ledger, and filed with the clerk of the town of Westfield. Ms. Lashy, may I have a roll call?
Mayor Brindle, Acting Mayor Havgood.
Here.
Council members Dardia.
Here.
Damagala.
Here.
Kiefer. Here. Saunders.
Here.
Armento.
Here.
Contract. Here. Healy.
Here.
Please rise for the invocation, which will be given by Councilman Armento, and then remain standing for the salute to the flag.
We come together today to serve our community with dedication and care. Let us be mindful of the needs of all and approach our duties with compassion and fairness. May we find unity in our diversity and strength in our collaboration. Help us to be good stewards of the trust placed in us. Thank you for the opportunity to serve.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening, everyone, and thanks for joining us both in person and online tonight. I'm filling in for Mayor Brindle in my role as acting mayor this evening. And as a reminder, public comment will be accepted in person only. We're streaming live on YouTube Live, and as always, the replay will also be available afterwards on Facebook, YouTube, and TV 36. As just a couple of reminders, please don't miss the wonderful Black History Month lineup that is now on display thanks to the Friends of the Westfield Memorial Library at the Westfield Memorial Library. It's in the meeting room. This collaboration was achieved through the Friends, the Westfield Memorial Library, and the Martin Luther King Jr. Association. And it's a portrait gallery featuring 14 artists, 14 paintings of people who have spoken the truth. I had a chance to see it the other night at the unveiling, and I would definitely encourage you to go check out all of the portraits. It's quite moving. And there's also an event happening this coming Tuesday at 7 to 8 p.m. So there's specific events, and then there's also just times when you can go into the meeting room and check out the gallery. Please do it. And I think you can see more details on the library's website. In terms of the legislative items for tonight, we have a few topics of interest. First, we have a resolution to approve the 2025 sewer fees. I'm pleased to report that the Finance Policy Committee is recommending no increase this year and will keep the rates unchanged for 2024. We have a resolution authorizing an award of contract for the purchase of a replacement main pool cover for the memorial pool, and that will be funded out of the pool budget, getting ready for the summer. We have a resolution to authorize participation and support for the Community Solar Program, which is a state-authorized and regulated program that makes solar energy available to homeowners without having to place solar panels directly on their own homes. This action will renew our participation in the program, which we first accomplished in 2022, and we're expanding the program, so that's also good news. We have a resolution authorizing a local property acquisition grant agreement with the New Jersey Economic Development Authority to accept a grant award. This is another required step in the process for the property acquisition of 200 South Avenue, which is the Mr. Goodlube property. No closing date's been announced yet. The process continues, but we would like to start moving the things ahead that we can. And lastly, at the recommendation of the Public Safety, Transportation, and Parking Committee, we have an ordinance on first reading to authorize the installation of a stop sign at the intersection of Lenox Avenue and Benson Place, which is currently an uncontrolled intersection. But before we get to the regularly scheduled meeting agenda for tonight, we'd like to welcome the members of the Board of Trustees for the Center of Creativity at the Rialto. Thank you for being here tonight. It's very exciting. They are here to come and talk about next steps in their process, the work they've done to date, the strategic plan that they've completed, and the opportunities the public to get involved with their long-term plans with this iconic landmark. So come on up. Bill Crandall is going to be giving the presentation. He's the chair of the Rialto Board.
Thanks, Jim. All right. All right. Thank you so much, Westfield Town Council, for having us tonight. My name is Bill Crandall. I'm the president of the board of the Westfield Arts Collective, and I'm here with what I hope you agree is a very exciting update about the Rialto Theater. And then we're going to unveil the renderings of its proposed reimagining. The Rialto, as we know, it's 100 years old, and I'm, ambivalent to say that I've been here for more than half of them. My first memory of the Rialto was from the back of my mom's station wagon. The marquee had one word on it, and it was there all summer long: Jaws. And just wanted to say that while we all love movies, due to market changes and human behavior, if we were building the Rialto right now, we would not create a 6-theater movie theater. We would create something entirely different. So that's what we're here to talk to you about, which is the reimagining of the Rialto. We are creating a home for our community to create, showcase, and enjoy the arts, all kinds of arts. So that's from live music performances to art classes to podcast recordings to formats that haven't even been invented yet, and yes, of course, movies. And another thing that's very important to us is, as well as this being flexible, we want to make sure that people are able to drop in, show up. So a community living room for the arts, if you will, for people to be able to come by and see what's going on at the Rialto, as well as buying tickets, for shows and for classes. I want to just start out with a brief history, just to catch everybody up, as everyone may not know all of the saga of the Rialto. It closed as a movie theater in 2019. In 2020, the mayor and You Fine People passed a resolution designating the Rialto as an area for development, allowing us to preserve it as a place for the arts. And we thank you for that, and that is what allows us to show you what we're going to show you today. In 2021, our nonprofit group, the Westfield Arts Collective, was founded to purchase the Rialto. Later that year, we received a $5 million donation from an anonymous donor, which has really, added a tremendous amount of fuel to the project. And we hosted a lot of specialty events in the time after that. Everything from a pop-up multimedia museum from the MLK Foundation to an Andrew McCarthy book reading. And yes, that handsome fella from St. Elmo's Fire is from Westfield. The key will be flexible spaces, as we talked about, always mapping to the community's need. And in order to do that, we had to really talk to a whole lot of people led by web management. So we hired multiple different professionals and experts, and they did a strategic business plan for us. And that was meeting with everything from local arts organizations to businesses to community groups about how they would best use the Rialto. We also hired fundraising consultants, the Angeletti Group. Suzanne's with us here tonight. And we have been interviewing potential donors, and we've been seeking out grants and foundations. We've been working closely with the NJEDA and their new cafe program, which is very exciting. And that's set up to fund programs exactly like ours, that is for the proliferation of the arts. We've also worked with architects, Alex Antonelli and Mills and Schnoring, to make sure that the vision of what we're doing is mapped to an actual space, and again, back to the flexibility. So with that, I'd like to unveil them for you so you can see the renderings. Awesome, here we go. So I'm just going to quickly walk you through them. As you can see, we have preserved the marquee and the overall look of the Rialto itself. So from the outside, it still looks like the same building that we know and love, but it's a lot brighter. There's a lot more windows, a lot of black paint in there now. Cool, let's go to the next photo. Great, now you can see inside, this is the big performance space, and you'll see in the next photos, it doesn't always have to be a big performance space, but this allows us to be able to have live music. That is retractable seating, so that goes away, and that's something that, again, makes it a lot more multifunctional, but this is where we'd be able to host special events. Organizations can host events there as well. receptions,
Bill,
etc.
I'm
Yep.
sorry, can you go back to that?
Yeah, sure, please.
Can you give us just a better orientation of what, so as you're looking through that performance space?
Yeah.
Out through doors, is that looking onto Central Ave?
Yeah, we're,
Central Ave.
Okay,
smart, yep, so that's, yeah, right on Central Avenue.
Okay.
Yeah,
Glass doors and windows will be added to that side of the building.
oh, great,
yeah, terrific.
that's great.
Okay, thank you. Cool. Next slide, please. And then you can see this is as if we were to take the top off the building, so you can see some of the multifunctionalness. There's multiple classrooms there and various different activities going on at once. One of the things we want to do is in working with a lot of people here is not only bringing our own programming, but making sure that we're partnering with lots of the different organizations. So, for example, JCC reached out to us about, hosting their film festival here, et cetera, et cetera. So to make sure that, let's just say next door, the town bookstore, if they're doing a bigger reading, have it at the Rialto. So we want to build lots of embassies on foreign soil at the Rialto so lots of people can sponsor their events. Great. Next.
Bill, and
Yeah.
can you do the same thing on that
Sure.
slide?
So
So just
you are-
tell us, so it looks like there's two main entrances?
Exactly.
So,
So you'll see that better in the next slide, but you are right now, so that is East Broad Street there, the Rialto marquee where it is. And
Yeah.
now you're on Central, looking at the side of it there. So you're looking at the side of the building from Central Avenue, which is going to be our new entrance, but currently it's the side of the building.
so, and what are those rooms then that we're looking at on the far right side of the
Mm-hmm.
slide?
So,
Connolly, the Jim Connolly store.
Right, but what are they going to be?
that's right. So
Yeah,
right now, those are going to be classrooms and flexible spaces. Yeah.
That'll be the new entrance on the first floor.
okay.
Yep.
So that's where you'll enter for performances?
Exactly. And you know what we can do is, Elliot, let's go to the next slide and you'll
Okay.
see there. Great. So if you look over to the right, see the Center of Creativity lettering over there?
Yep.
So that's going to be the new entrance, and it will be a much more inviting place for
Yeah, it looks
people to
beautiful.
enter as opposed to what's there now. Correct.
Great.
Terrific. Okay. Any questions about the renderings or any of the layouts of it before we go? All right. Okay, let's keep going.
Actually, one question.
Yeah, David.
Residents see this, are these publicly posted, or will they be?
Yeah, they're going to be publicly posted on our website. Yeah, terrific. Sure, yeah, so that is the Center for Creativity.art. Yeah, I'll say that again, Center for Creativity.art. Yeah. That's a thing, that's a thing. Yep, exactly. Okay, and I have another exciting update, is that due to the, when we closed, there was flooding and some damage to the building. We're making some repairs to the building, and we are going to be able to open a limited portion of the Rialto soon to be able to do just some showcase of the arts and as well as raising awareness for our cause. So we're going to be doing raising awareness, raising funds, and the analogy we're using, it's a little bit like opening up a food truck to raise awareness for the restaurant that is to come. It's great. And really what we're looking for is we need everybody's involvement. We're looking for the community of Westfield. In particular, we're looking for fundraising, finance, and marketing expertise. So if anybody has those, please reach out to us. And then obviously also then we're looking for people's support, both for our long-term and our short-term needs. So we are open currently for donations as well. And there's your friendly QR code. As well as campaign at RialtoWestfield.
Can I ask a question about this?
Yeah.
So how much, so you said there was a $5 million donation, so
Yeah,
how
yeah.
much on top of the 5 million has to be raised in order for that to
In
happen?
order that to be, it's going to be about, it's going to be upwards of $25 million
On top of the 5?
on top of the 5. Yeah.
And is there a time frame in which this has to get done, or is this like if it doesn't happen in the next 2 years, is there a separate plan, or like what is the time?
Right, so So the time right now is that right now we're working very closely with the NJEDA, and they have tax credits that they award to different groups for the arts. And that is the big thing that right now that we are working with them to raise the money for. And then after that, if that doesn't happen, we will continue to recalibrate and continue to raise. But the one thing that was very important to us that we wanted to make sure that we did is open the doors, because there's no reason why we can't start celebrating the arts and in a limited capacity do that. So, yeah. Yep.
Bill, can the plan phase if you can't reach that donation goal? So meaning, you know, if you, let's say you're able to raise, I'm making this up, 10
Right.
million, to do part of this and do it in stages?
Right. So excellent question, and that's something that we would contemplate if Plan A does not work out. And Plan A, right now, the NGEDA does not contemplate phasing, so they do it all in one swoop. But if that were not the case, then I imagine that would certainly be something we would contemplate.
Yeah, just to piggyback on that, I'm just trying to
Sure.
get a sense of how long this is gonna take. So if we raised 5, like how much has been raised since 2020? On top of the 5, like have we raised a good
We have
chunk of
not
them?
been actively fundraising,
Got
so like we raised the 5 just to kind of start and get going. And then what we realized is early on we were doing activities, and the activities were great to keep the building going. And I'm hesitant to call it a mixed blessing, but when the building was closed, that allowed us to really focus on the work of the future creativity. And what we're really so excited about is we know that there's so many people wondering, you know, what's going on with the Rialto, what's going on with the Rialto, and it's been very important for us to just show everybody that A, the arts are expensive, you know, and it's not your normal, like if you're a homeowner and you think it costs X amount of square feet or whatever, when you are talking about soundproofing places, making buildings flexible, et cetera, you know, is to be able to bring that to the community and have everybody decide.
And is it a nonprofit?
Yes, sorry, I should have said that. Yes, the Westfield Art Collection is a nonprofit. And we're all volunteers, and if you'd grant me, I'd love for them to all wave. These are the hardworking people who have been working behind this. You'll see in the Rialto, there's lots of sticky notes as we've been, you know, just brainstorming what are all the different things people want to see and interviewing everybody about what they want to come to life. So we know it's a bold vision, and, you know, we state that up front, but the arts are bold, and that's why we're here. Yeah.
Do
Yes.
all of the funds that are donated go directly to the project?
Correct. Yeah,
everything.
correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there any thought of possibly getting like a corporate sponsor to donate money?
Yeah, so we've started having those conversations, corporate sponsors, as well as different funds, foundations, everything, and that's really exactly why we're making that call to action for people with fundraising and finance experience as well, because yes, and we've started to have those conversations. I'm only going to use the word started, but please, if you have experience in that field, please come join us. So yes.
Once the entire thing would be built and whatnot, have you guys given thought to how much it would cost to maintain and operate that moving forward and how you would fund that?
We have, yeah. So that's part of our fundraising plan. So there's going to be a ramp up. What we don't want to do is immediately say that, okay, we're going to have this big arts organization and hire a whole bunch of people and do that. So we have like a more of a phase plan for that portion of things, but yes. So.
Also, just, I am the fundraising chair, so we
Yeah.
do have an operating budget that we have projected out for 5 years.
Yeah.
And one of the things that we didn't mention, but all of those classrooms are going to be rental spaces. That is going to be income that is going to be stable. We're also going to have rentals of the main theater space that can be utilized for events because it's going to have retractable walls and retractable seats. So that's going to be added income. We're going to have a cafe, which is going to be additional income. So we do have those sources of revenue, and then, you know, we've allocated for expenses with staffing and with other, you know, expenses that'll be necessary. And so we do have that operating budget. And I just also want to say, if any of you want like a more detailed sort of, you know, one of us to do a presentation and kind of behind closed doors with all of those nitty-gritty details, we'd love to do that, because what we really need is this entire council support. This big grant that we're going for, this big government grant, which is literally going to be what builds this theater, one of their biggest requirements is that you must have your council, your town council and mayor write a letter of support. So we want to make sure that we give you guys all the information you need so you can feel comfortable with this project. So
Thanks,
I
Kurt.
will send out an invite later, and I'd love to hopefully
I just want to ask a technical question. So, people at home, were they able to hear what Curdy was saying, or should we come up and have her repeat at the mic? Yeah, yeah.
Curdy, come say all of that again.
No, it just dawned on me as you were finishing that unless you're at the mic, people at home can't hear it. And I think what you're saying are important things, and including how to get more information, how to get involved, more about how the use of the space is going to take place.
Right.
Because people are really excited to hear
Right.
about
So
all
just
these
as
great plans.
exciting as the building is, I think what's going to happen inside the building is even more thrilling. Not only is it this big community space where we're going to, bring people in from all times of day, whether it's to come and look at the gallery or sit at the cafe or have your book club there, or, meet someone there, or if it's to come to a classroom or come to a lecture or a theater or a concert, but we actually do have a model for revenue, and that is going to be through rentals. And we hopefully partner with our community to have those rentals. Those classrooms are going to be filled hopefully every day, morning through night. And that is what's going to help us with our revenue source, as well as renting out the other space, as well as the cafe sales, as well as anything else that we can, maybe a gallery, maybe we'll be able to sell art. So yeah, there's plenty of sources of revenue that we have allocated for. I also just, again, reiterating that council support is going to be instrumental. This grant, this big, large government grant, the CAFE program, we are a stellar candidate for it. And really, it's ours to lose. So which means that if we just have to line everything up, we are doing all the hard work on our end, and we hope that the council will support us for this project. And we're happy to give you all the information that we have right now to make sure that happens. And then, again, the call for community help. If you have ever worked on a campaign, if you have worked for a nonprofit, if you are well connected in the community, if you if you sit on a foundation or know someone that does, this is kind of the start of our campaign. So we have to establish leadership in a campaign council. So this is where we are reaching out to our community, because we realized, honestly, we are a small group, but we have so much talent and experience in the community that it would be foolish not to reach out. So this isn't, hey, we're not putting shovels in the ground. We're asking for help so we can get to the point where we can put shovels in the ground.
Can I just ask a question about the grant? What does the grant do?
So the New Jersey EDA CAFE program is for arts organizations that are either like us, building from the ground up, or that are completely revamping. So what it does is, if you qualify, it provides you tax credits. These tax credits are distributed over 5 years. So the way we would utilize this grant is, if we got it, we would get a promissory note. We would monetize that promissory note and hopefully get a loan or a donor to give us a loan for a short period of time to build the building. Once the building is built, and it's in operation, then you get these grants over 5 years, and then you sell them and recoup the money. So you sell them to someone who would buy them for the tax credits. And the NGED is the program is gonna help us partner with someone to purchase those grants. So they are going to try and help us as much as we can, but again, we have to have all the groundwork. We have to be a center that's inclusive. We have to make sure that we are diverse, that we are reaching out to the community, that we are open a certain number of hours, that we provide art, really robust arts programming, and we have a really good financial plan, which we have done all of that work. And that's what we've been doing all this time when we've been quote-unquote closed, even though we've, managed to put together a fabulous sidewalk gallery every month.
Go ahead, Councilman.
So the application should go live in the spring, and hopefully sometime in the fall or early winter, we would know if we had actually won, I guess, or we had actually been selected to proceed with the program, yeah.
We can ask for up to $75 million in this grant. They have $1.2 billion in tax credits to give out.
repeat it? Or just repeat, thank you, because I just want to make sure, there are a
So
lot of
each-
people who watch these meetings at home,
Yeah.
so I want to make sure that everyone hears all the information.
Every arts organization can apply for up to $75 million. We'll be applying for much less than that, but they expect to meet all demand in this first round of applicants. That's why it looks so good for us. Plus, honestly, we're a model candidate based on some of the work the mayor has done previously in discussing how these programs should be set up with the NGEDA. Yeah.
That's great. Curdy, could you also just share with us and people watching a little bit more about how the whole timeline rolls out, assuming, that money's come in as expected? So when will all the construction be done? Like, what are some of the milestones that we can be anticipating?
Right, so for now, the goal is to open the building up for fundraising events.
Okay,
We
great.
anticipate, if we did get, let's say, we did get the grant, it would take 13 months for the architects from, the day we say yes to actually put shovels in the ground, and then the actual project would take another 8 months or so. So we are still several years out before we have a finished, complete building, and hopefully in that interim, we will be able to utilize the building for some of these programming and events and proof of concept type events. But it is a while away, and that is actually just, very standard. We looked at tons of peer institutions and how long it takes them to get off the ground, and we saw everything from 3 to 10 years. So we're kind of, that's what it takes, and in terms of the money, I know sometimes it's a little bit shock, like a little sticker shock to hear that number, but again, we are kind of right in the middle for a building of that size. And again, another exciting thing, we want to make it a green building. It would be an anchor to our town, it would start an arts district. It would draw people all over. So economically, it would be a huge boost to our businesses. So, but again, we are probably 2 years plus out in terms of timeline. Yeah.
The big cliff there is the architectural designs themselves. So to take it from renderings, then we would, upon getting the grants, then commission the architects to really do that work, which is time consuming and expensive. So that's something that we wouldn't do until getting the grants. And that's the biggest long pole in the construction process.
Great. And then, Bill, you mentioned that you're going to open up the doors for some limited events, et cetera. When does that happen?
So that, we will get back to you on the specific timing of that, but we're expecting summer-ish for that to happen. And there, what we're planning to do is to just also invite local artists as well as people who are from Westfield, and have people do different pop-up events. So you're gonna see talks, and you're gonna see live music and screenings. We wanna basically do all the different formats that we plan to showcase at the Rialto in the future.
Okay, great. And we can learn all about this at centerforcreativity.art.
.art.
Okay,
yes.
great. Well, any other questions?
Have you in any way spoken to anyone at the library, the Westfield Memorial Library, at this point to see if there's any joint?
Yes, we have, and interestingly enough, we have our board meetings there, the third Tuesday of the time. So we have, as well as the Historical Society and everybody, so we're speaking with everybody. And if there are other organizations out there who are interested in this project, please get in touch with us, and we'd love to speak with you. Terrific.
And I have to imagine that it helps a lot for us to donate early to this project as a bolster to the grant application.
That's exactly right. The grants have told us that, so thank you for that, Linda, because the grants have also said, like, what is the community doing and what are they showing? So a diverse portfolio of donations from the grants all helps, so yes.
Okay, great. Well, thank you very much for the presentation. Everyone at home, please go check out the website and see the renderings. It might be a little hard to see it on our closed caption TV here. And it's just fabulous to see this all coming to fruition. So thank you all to all of the people who are sitting on your board and all of the others involved in the process, because It really looks beautiful.
Thank you. As Curdy was saying, we're going to have more updates as the
exciting.
grant comes in, so we'll be back. You'll be seeing more of us, and thanks so much for your continued support. Great work.
Yeah, great,
Thank
great.
you.
Okay. Jim, I think you might want to come up and make a couple comments before we get into the rest of the agenda.
Okay, changing gears, so
And if,
like
and
stepping
if,
out there.
exactly, and if people from the Center for Creativity can stay to answer any other questions at the end, that's great, or we'll reach out to you, whatever works for you. Thank you all for coming tonight.
Thank you, Acting Mayor. No problem. I just want to make a few comments about our favorite topic, which is about to do in a couple hours snow. We've had some smaller snowstorms in the past few weeks. Another one coming tonight looks to be hopefully much of very little snow. Maybe later this week as well. But just want to remind the residents, we've been because these storms have been sort of on the cusp of what we designate as plowable storms versus non-plowable storms. We've been noticing that when we have plowed, we're right on the cusp of that 3 inches, and we're seeing a lot of people. Of course, we had 2 winters before this. Snow was out very prevalent, so people tend to forget what the rules are, how to act during a snowstorm. But we're seeing these past few weeks now, people are not shoveling their sidewalks, especially around schools. People aren't moving their cars off the street to allow our plows to get to curb. People are throwing snow back in the street, obviously. So these are all things. I just want to remind the public that for smaller snowstorms, they don't compound a lot, but you get back-to-back snowstorms or one big snowstorm, and then cars in the street, sidewalks not being shoveled becomes a problem, especially around school areas or the downtown area. And I just want to remind the public that when we do send these nixles out and remind people what the rules are, we need everyone to comply. It makes the town's operations more efficient, easier to get things clean. And of course, we had some experience of this many years ago where if you did have back-to-back large storms, if you don't do those things and comply, you're affecting potentially emergency services, narrowing roadways for ambulances, fire trucks to get into, and so forth. So just a PSA to the public that please get your cars off the road if you can. We have made arrangements the past few storms when we've now made these announcements. A Memorial Pool parking lot is available. If you're close by there, to park your car there, to get it off the street if you have no room in your driveway, you have college kids home, have extra cars, for example. There are some streets in town that have alternate side of street parking where it would obviously be very helpful to have that one side cleared, and then we go back the next day and obviously take care of the other side of the street. These are all things that were very well thought out after the blizzard of 2016, where we had a very tough time after that, and all these policies were put in place after that. So just a reminder to the public, and we need their cooperation to make this actually very safe and very efficient for our Public Works Department. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Okay, may I have a motion to approve the minutes from the Town Council Conference and regular meetings of January 28th, 2025?
So moved.
Moved by Councilman Dardia, second by Councilman Healy. Any discussion? All in favor? Yes. Opposed? This motion is carried. Now it's time for open discussion by citizens. Anyone may come up to the microphone and speak to the council on any subject on which the council has jurisdiction. Please state your name and address for the record and limit your comments to 5 minutes.
Rob Galgano. Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you. Rob Galgano, 939 Boulevard. Nice to be back. I'd like to thank Mayor Brindle for her recent comments regarding immigration. In a time when kindness is in short supply and our currency is not the dollar, but instead chaos, lawlessness, and destruction, we must remember these immigrants are people, and they do a lot of the hard work we Americans are unwilling to do. I'm especially interested to see how things go this coming spring with Westfield residents' heavy reliance on professional landscaping. It's an interesting question, and I guess we'll have our answer soon enough. For those of you concerned about the enforcement of immigration law and perceived lawlessness of the immigrant population, may I remind you that the current occupant of the White House was found guilty of 34 felonies, so please spare me any despair you may have over that, over people who are really doing real physical labor and not playing golf all the time. As if that weren't enough, here's a fact that will really bake your noodle. There's currently an unelected South African billionaire and his band of techno nerds rifling through the computer systems of our government, rewriting code, copying databases, turning off legal payments.
Is there a reason
There
how this
is.
has prevalence to?
Yes, I'm about to get to that.
All right, thank you.
All right, you're welcome. Sorry, I understand. All of this is technically unwise as well as in violation of numerous laws. If you want to get upset about statutes being violated, why not start there? You'll have a lot to work with. So what does this have to do with Westfield? This chaos, lawlessness, and destruction has real devastating effects on the community. Last week, I was approached by a neighbor who's going around knocking on our doors asking for a favor. This gentleman is an agent for the FBI, doing his job enforcing our laws, keeping the country safe. He's currently in jeopardy of losing his job because he was assigned to cases involving January 6th rioters, and it seems a certain lawless president has determined all of those agents have to go. He's asking his neighbors to call our federal officials. In our case, Senators Booker and Kim, who have both been vocal and visible, and Congressman Keene, who is very invisible. He certainly won't return any of my phone calls. Perhaps some of you could ring him up. Additionally, a friend of mine who also lives in town, works for the Veterans Administration, is currently looking for other employment, as he feels his position at the VA is somewhat tenuous. He works as a trainer and is involved in the dreaded DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. Now, who could be opposed to noble goals like that? Probably the same folks who couldn't handle Kendrick Lamar's performance at the Super Bowl. They're not like us. I'd like to share with you a direct quote from our conversation. "The fear is real. I am not alone. This uncertainty is problematic." He went on to describe the current work environment as toxic and hostile. So there you are. Local manifestations of nationwide problems. For good or bad, we are all connected. In the end, we often make a choice. Laws apply to everyone, or they apply to no one. Will we choose chaos and destruction over safety and stability? I don't have a good answer for that one. Thank you.
Rich Panikiewski, 233 Charles Street. Tonight, I would like to bring to your attention 3 issues for which I'd like to get a response. The first issue relates to the report produced by Topology for the town of Westfield regarding the 4th round affordable housing assessment of the DCA number. This report was dated as well as issued on January 14th, 2025. At the last town council meeting 2 weeks ago, I asked if Topology's calculations in support of their conclusions would be made available for review. There are several factors such as valuation assessment, income capacity, and average allocation which are cited in the report but not supported by any calculations. The report's appendix simply contains some basic analysis of the acreage of several properties. Mr. Gildea indicated these calculations, which the town paid for as part of the consultant's fee, should be readily available. I could not find the calculations on the town's website. This is quite an important issue for the town because, as you are already aware, the deadline for our response to the state is imminent. I was disturbed that we did not previously have these calculations. I'm now even more disturbed that, unless I'm mistaken, we're still waiting to see the calculations. What is the status? My second issue relates to some discussion that occurred during the most recent town budget open discussion meeting. I questioned the line item in the preliminary town budget bullet outline regarding some monies allocated for a sewer system assessment. Councilwoman Habgood clarified that the assessment was in fact an existing condition assessment of the current system. I asked if that assessment involved any analysis of current or future capacity as it relates to the planned development in Westfield. Mr. Gildea commented that the 2025 preliminary budget line item for sewer system assessment does not include any analysis of current or future capacity. He also advised that analysis had been done in the past by the Rollway Valley Sewage Authority. Can you please advise me as to the specific document wherein that analysis was presented and advise me as to where I can find that document? My third issue relates to an incident that occurred last week. The widow of a deceased neighbor of mine approached me and asked me to sign a document regarding a request she will be submitting to the town to convert an existing property which is currently zoned commercial back to single-family residential so that she can sell the property. I say back to single-family residential because the property was originally zoned single-family residential, and my first experience with our town's municipal government involved attending meetings during which that property was converted to commercial back in 1997. Tom, you might remember it. I think you were there that night. The property under discussion abuts my property. She briefly explained the process for converting back to single-family residential. After she left, I remember thinking to myself that the process sounded pretty complicated. I also remember thinking to myself that it was pretty ironic that one Westfield Place could make some pretty major changes to an established plan rather easily. Things like changing the number of units, changing the status of units from over 55 to open to the public, changing the layout and facade of major buildings, etc. One Westfield Place is able to do this because of the eminent domain afforded by the state laws for properties designated as areas in need of rehabilitation/redevelopment. In fact, the entire town of Westfield was declared an area in need of redevelopment/rehabilitation in 2020. Now, I'm not here tonight to question the state's laws. That's for the judges in Trenton to iron out. I am, however, wondering about at what point our town will no longer be an area in need of redevelopment and rehabilitation. I wonder about this because of the inequity that exists between our town's citizens and our town's business partners in the arena of things like zoning ordinances. My recent chance meeting with my neighbor's widow reminded me of how one-sided the process truly is. And so I ask, it has been 5 years and our current mayor's term expires this November. When will we no longer be a town in need of redevelopment/rehabilitation? Thank you.
Anyone else? Thank you, Mr. Panakuski. All right, well, I will close public comment then and address the people who came up to the mic. Mr. Galgano, thank you for your comments. I think it is important for all of our neighbors to know that we're here to help them if they're running into circumstances that were not anticipated, and if they do need assistance, or have questions, to please reach out, because we'd be happy to help guide them. As it relates to Mr. Panakuski's comments, Jim, you might want to come up because I know, well, certainly in the committee that's working on affordable housing, we have looked at the calculation. I thought we were going to add it to the paper that was on the website, but maybe we just haven't done that yet. There's been a lot of things going on.
Yeah, in reference to that, so we did contact Topology to get the calculations added, as it's not ready yet. Grant was away on vacation, the gentleman who was doing that, so
Okay.
we will have that added to the report. But the committee, we did talk about those, so that is just not done yet, but that will be done. In reference to Mr. Panakusi's comments about the sewer system and the assessment that was discussed at the budget meeting we had in this room a few weeks ago, he asked the question about the assessment, and then he also asked a question about capacity. I didn't mention a report, rather what I said was that the RVSA, we're a member of the Railroad Valley Sewage Authority, RVSA, and that we know that we have extra capacity. We're one of the largest towns in the RVSA, and our capacity issue is not an issue at all. There was no report that I mentioned per se, but we have extra capacity based upon the shares that we own as RVSA. So there's no report per se about that, and there's a last comment, I'm not aware of the single
But there
family
was
home.
nothing in the review that caused us any concern about having to make any changes.
No.
I think that's the main thrust
No.
of it, right? So, and then in terms of the last point about the designations for areas in need of redevelopment and rehabilitation, I actually would like to just make a point about the fact that the Center for Creativity and the Rialto would probably be a housing development today if it weren't for the efforts that we took to designate that area in need of rehabilitation that enabled the process to go forward and for us to establish a not-for-profit that could run the organization, that could receive a large donation at the beginning. And now we have, as a town, control over the preservation of iconic building and an opportunity for Center for the Arts in the middle of our downtown. So all of those things that we're doing, all those designations that we made were to take advantage of the redevelopment laws in our state so that we can build beautiful things like the Rialto, so that we can do a better job at historic preservation, so that we can help homeowners potentially get some tax advantages by making improvements to their properties. So this is something that we want to continue because it gives us a lot of great tools and abilities to grow and proceed in the way that we all want to. So
I'm sorry, I was just going to say one thing. I think just the only correction I'd make to Mr. Panikiewski's comments is there are certain areas designated as areas that need a redevelopment. That is true. The entire town is not a redevelopment area.
yes, thank you for
The
clarifying.
entire town is an area in need of rehab, which is a very different thing, has different regulations and so forth. So the redevelopment does not apply to the entire town. It's only the rehab that does. The redevelopment is only specific zones or properties that have been done for various reasons.
Right. But it allows us to, the areas in need of redevelopment allow us to invite parties in to propose to us ideas for development that we have control over.
I have a question to follow up on that, because I appreciate you making that distinction, Jim, and I'm aware of it, and you just reminded me of it, and I understand Linda's points about the areas in need of redevelopment. We discussed that quite a bit. We don't talk much about the areas in need of rehabilitation, and it seems to me that that's a pretty broad brush to coat the rest of the town in an area of need of rehabilitation. Is there a reason for it? I understand your point about the benefit of the area in need of redevelopment. Is there a similar benefit for?
Yeah, and I don't know, Tom might be the best person to address this.
You pretend I'm Don Samet, so I'll turn to Tom.
Yeah,
I'm not going to
exactly.
pretend I'm Don Samet either. One of the reasons, first of all, both an area in need of rehabilitation and an area in need of redevelopment have to meet certain statutory criteria, either meet the criteria or not. There is precedent for de-designating, although it's an expensive process to determine if it's an area in need of redevelopment and then designate it as such. With respect to the area in need of rehabilitation and the entire town, it did meet the statutory criteria. One of the prime reasons why it was determined that it should go forward was because it allows anybody in this town under the statute or the ordinance that was passed by this council who designates their property under our local historic preservation law to get a 5-year tax credit on their property taxes. It's a built-in discount, 20, 40, 60, 80%. So if you live in the town of Westfield and if you designate your property locally historic, and if you do improvements to your property, you will be taxed less than if you don't. And you can only do that as a result of the area in need of rehabilitation. So that's primarily why that was done. Yeah, so.
And there's nothing bad about it. There's nothing bad about that designation, except that maybe it doesn't have the best name, because it makes people think that it's bad, but it's actually good.
I have a personal opinion, but
Yeah.
fortunately you don't pay me for my personal opinion. That's a policy judgment,
All right,
as to
well,
whether it's bad or not.
as far as I can tell, I haven't seen anything negative that comes out of that designation. It does offer the tax benefit and an encouragement, hopefully, for people to designate their homes historic.
Can I, just one comment?
Sure.
For Mr. Panikiewski. Maybe it would be beneficial if you could email, I know you said you had differences of opinion, and I know Councilman, several people were on the committee and worked really hard to go over those numbers, but it might be beneficial for you just to email the council what you think your discrepancies are, and then can forward to topology, and this way we'll have an answer, this way the whole council will know. So this way there's, concrete answer to it. So that might be helpful if you could email us what you're
There's nothing to analyze.
Yeah, I think we know, Councilman. We know exactly what Mr. Panikiewski is looking for. We talked about it in our subcommittee meetings around affordable housing. We went over the calculation during calls that we had. The specific calculation just wasn't included in the report that was posted on the website, so we just need to add it. But we know exactly what he's looking for.
Thanks. Okay.
Okay.
Bills and
Councilman
claims.
Contract.
I
We're
think this
going
is
to go
my
on to bills and claims.
first time doing this. Thank
Yeah.
you, Acting Mayor. I'd like to move bills and claims in the amount of $803,228.36.
May I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Saunders. Any discussion? All in favor?
Yes.
Okay. This motion is carried.
Um,
Next on the agenda is reports of standing committees, beginning with the Finance Policy Committee. Councilman Contract.
Thank you, Acting Mayor. I have 6 resolutions to move as a package. The first is a resolution authorizing the CFO to draw a warrant for dog licenses for January 2025. The second is a resolution authorizing the CFO to refund Recreation Department fees. The third is a resolution authorizing the CFO to draw warrants for participant payments to the Westwood for the annual Me and My Gal Dance, which residents should know sold out within minutes. Fourth is a resolution to approve 2025 sewerage fees. Just to remind everybody, they're not changing. The fifth is a resolution to amend a contract for 2024 for the town's on-call traffic safety consultant. Fees for reconciliation went up slightly over what was budgeted. And lastly, a resolution authorizing an award of contract for the purchase of the main pool cover for Memorial Pool.
May I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Damagala. Any discussion?
Discussion.
Okay. Councilman Haley?
I'm just going to use this opportunity to talk about the pool at Memorial Pool and the cover of that pool, because actually it reminds me of the Rialto project. In the 1960s, there were numerous swimming pools in the area, and I can name them: Willow Grove, Highland, Mindawaskin, Nomahegan, Manor Park, of course, Shackamax and Echo Lake. Not a single one would allow a black family to join. And because of visionary people in the late 60s in Westfield, the town government, part of the African American community, the Westfield Memorial Pool was put in place in 1970. I happened to be the first head lifeguard, swim coach, and swimming lessons instructor. This was a very dicey proposition. A lot of people didn't think it would work. And why is the town spending bonding money to do this? It's 55 years. And every day in the summer, you can see people of all races at that pool. Anyone can join if they want to. It's been a huge financial success. And our town administrator was also early employee of the town pool. This pool has been such a, I have to point something out. The main pool is only 3.5 to 4 feet, I believe. This was a huge safety innovation. We don't want people drowning. The two architects, and I happen to know them, they also designed the diving tank with 17.5 feet, which was completely unheard of. But this was a visionary project, just like I'm seeing the Rialto project can be. And it needs support, and it needs vision, but in this case, we're awarding a contract. We want to award a contract to preserve the pool in the winter months, and it's something that we should do. It's like an investment, if you will, just like the Rialto project. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Dardia.
Thank you, Acting Mayor. I would like to move General Ordinance Number 2025-02 on first reading.
We didn't vote on those resolutions.
Uh-oh. Maybe we should go
Jumped the
back and do
gun.
that then. Okay.
No
Sorry.
cover for the pool.
I got all wrapped up in your comments, which were a little off topic,
Happens.
but it's okay. We appreciate them.
It was our history lesson.
Right, yes. So all in favor of the
Yes.
finance policy resolutions? Any
Yes.
opposed? Great. This motion is carried. And next, the Public Safety, Transportation, and Parking Committee, Councilman Dardia.
Thank you, Acting Mayor. I would like to move General Ordinance Number 2025-02 on first reading, an ordinance to amend the code of the town of Westfield, Chapter 13, and once again, we're talking specifically about the intersection of Lenox and Benson, and we're talking about replacing a yield sign with a stop sign on Lenox at Benson.
seconded by Councilman Contract. Any discussion? Town Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Councilmembers Dardia,
Yes.
Delmagala,
Yes.
Kiefer,
Yes.
Saunders,
Yes.
Armento,
Yes.
Contract,
Yes.
Healy,
Yes.
Acting Mayor Havgan.
Yes. This motion is carried. Next is the Code Review and Town Property Committee. Councilman Contract.
I'd like to move a resolution authorizing participation and support for the community solar program in Westfield. This would be our second participation opportunity in this program for residents.
May I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Dardia. Any discussion?
Can we just mention what was said in the conference session?
Yeah, I'll provide a brief update to the residents on this. This is really a win-win opportunity for Westfield residents. For those residents who don't have the opportunity to put solar on their property, you can actually now benefit from solar that's actually produced off-site through the state community solar program. So this is the second round of the program. The first round was several years ago, and we had 165 residents participate. The program has actually been revised, and I would argue improved. So participating residents will see on average a 30% decrease in your electricity supply costs. So right now you're paying PSE&G a certain charge per kilowatt hour. For this program, because solar is much cheaper to produce, obviously, you'll see a 30% reduction in that. The last time this program was implemented, you got two separate bills. PSE&G bill showed a 20% discount, and then our partner, which is a company called Solar Landscapes, would send you a separate bill. This time around, it's merged together into one bill. So you get one bill from PSE&G that reflects that 30% on average discount. So from the Code Committee's perspective, as well as the Green Team's perspective, which is the volunteer organization that brought this opportunity to the town, it's a win-win and almost a no-brainer. So hopefully the council will support it. I would encourage all residents to sign up. I'm sure that we'll provide the information on how you can sign up. Solar Landscapes will send a mailing out to all households promoting the program, but it is first come, first serve, so you need to act quickly.
Thank you, Councilman. All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Any opposed? Great, the motion is carried.
Great. I'd also like to move a resolution authorizing a local property acquisition grant agreement with the New Jersey Economic Development Authority and to accept a grant award. Just by way of background, this is the next step in the process to use the grant to acquire the former Mr. Loop property at Central and South.
Great. May I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Armento. Any discussion? Great. Please call the roll.
Councilmembers Dardia,
Yes.
Delmagala,
Yes.
Kiefer,
Yes.
Saunders,
Yes.
Armento,
Yes.
Contract,
Yes.
Healy, Acting Mayor Havgan.
Yes, the motion is carried. And before I ask for a motion to adjourn, I just wanted to thank again everyone who came from the Rialto tonight and all the hard work that you've done, and to remind everyone how important it is to go check out the website, check out what's happening at the building, and make donations in time and dollars toward the effort that is going to be such a centerpiece for our town going forward. So with that, may I have a motion to adjourn? So moved. Great. Second, great. Councilman Kiefer, thank you for the second. All in favor? Yes. Okay, opposed? This meeting is adjourned and the motion is carried. Thank you.